Futures, here's what we were looking for on the futures last night. Where's the 1 hour chart? This is the 1 hour chart. This is what we were looking for last night. Futures to come back down, test its 200 and break. I was expecting a break below there, but did not, and actually punched up from here. Why? I have no idea. There must be some reason that the institutions thought that it's a good idea to buy. Give it a second, guys. Give it a second. All right. So this is what this is what I was expecting to happen. I was expecting it to break its 200 on the hourly and push below from there and push into its 50. Did not happen. Bounce off of that. I have no clue why. If anybody has any theory, please do let me know. I could only think of the fact that this is seasonally speaking, April is a better month for stocks, and that's the only reason that is coming to mind for this buying right now. And besides that, I don't see any reason. And a few data points, not data points, but if you look at stocks, Apple and Microsoft are positive, and besides that, you're not seeing any major push in any of the other ones. Apple Apple doing phenomenally good pre-market, and this has shot up pretty decent, close to 2 points. So go figure. I don't know what to explain there, but yeah. So same did the Microsoft, but Amazon did not. From yesterday's low, it pushed up, but still negative on the day still. And I think same is the thing with Google. Wow, Google actually pushed. But yeah, so if you want to push the market, push these 3 4 stocks, and you are up uh, a good bit on futures and otherwise. Uh, I was short Facebook last evening, and I was still looking for a push into this number and break this number and push into most likely this number and break that number and push into this number somewhere around here, 207. This was my thesis, but did not work out as I was expecting it to work out. Again, for whatever reason, I have no clue. This had to come down. Uh,
Gotta go now. Oh shit, my bad.
right. So, what are we looking for? Then So pretty much, the futures are pretty intact, and the numbers that we're looking for futures to test. Obviously, this was the first one, 4478. Right now, the futures are testing that, taking a breather, testing that. I am not sure if this is gonna hold for longer. I think the way that it is working right now, futures are threatening to break above this and push into this number. That's the most likely scenario, 44.94. This will happen most likely during the, somewhere around the today's session. I'm expecting this to happen during today's session. Here, it had to take a breather. It is taking a breather, but after that, I am expecting futures to punch through that number and push into its 100. And 44.94 is where I think it should go. And line in the sand for everything is here. Uh, this 44.90 to 44.94. 44.94 is pretty achievable, not too far from here. And 44.94 and then 4,500 would be a psych number. And looking for after, if it punches through 44.94 or the mean, whatever that mean would come down to, then there's a very good chance that we're going to hit 45.09, and then there's a very good chance that 45.18 is pretty much sitting there after that. And here's the big number that I'm watching, the 200. This is the big number that I'm watching. After 200, we'll make a decision to hit the mean, and so the base case to the upside is this 44.91. The 200 moving average on the daily for futures. That's the base case. And beyond that, we will reassess the situation. And to the downside, the base case is 44.26. I don't believe we're going to hit that, but still, 44.26 to the downside. If that breaks, then 44.10 should be the bottom for futures. Let's get back to the other window. Oh, yeah. All right. So this is the range that I'm watching today for SPY, or rather SPX, right about here. Where is that? The downside, again, this would remain intact on the downside. The number is 43.60, whatever this number is. This would remain intact to the downside. This hasn't changed yet, and the reason that I'm keeping that as a possibility is because it hadn't hit that number. It is bouncing off of some other number, which I'm not aware of at this point. But it is still the possibility of SPX going back to 43.68, whatever this 50 EMA is, this is still intact. So that's the case to the downside, not the base case. That is good to have. In fact, we might not actually hit that, given the earnings season is turning out to be pretty decent. Other than Netflix, I think pretty decent so far. I don't know. We'll talk about that a little later. On the SPX side of things, the immediate numbers that I'm watching are again the 50. Rather, I'll be watching this number here, the 5 on the daily, which is at 44.26, and the mean on the daily, which is around 4,500 or whatever this 200 number. So 44.95 to 4,500 to the upside, and to the downside, 44.25, then 44.15. That's the range that I want to play. Base case to the downside would be 44.26, and the good to have to the downside would be 44.14. Not looking to push into 43s today, barring any major changes. I'm not looking for that push down. So the base case to the downside, 44.26. The good to have would be 44.15. The base case to the upside is 44.95, 96, whatever this number is. A good to have would be 4,500. The mean would be achieved at 4,500. Look for some sort of a friction there. My bias is still to the upside. But I would not be trading as though with my bias, which is to the upside, and not be trading with my bias. I'd be taking things hour by hour. That's how I want to do it. No bias, just the technicals. Let the technicals play out. But looking good if it clears, 448.50. SPY looking good if it clears 448.50. On the IXIC side of things, I'm not looking for it to come back down to the levels that we tested yesterday, which was this number again right here. This is the weekly 100. It hit that number to a T yesterday and pushed higher. So to the upside, I think right now it has cleared that if the markets were open. But 1363, then 13722. This is what I'm watching to the upside. 13722. And after that, we will see how it behaves there. And the mean is sitting at around 1418. So there's a good bit of upside for Nasdaq as well. But to the upside, 1370, 13733 is my base case, and I'm pretty sure it's going to hit that as the market opens itself, and then we'll see a push into 13877. Let's see how this works out. And let's go into this one. So on the Qs right now, the Qs are testing it's 50 on the daily. So that is a critical number. And I believe that there's enough ammo here for it to clear that number and start pushing into 349 and most likely 350.88. So this is what will happen. Most likely that is the path that the Qs will take. And the mean for the Qs is sitting at 354. I don't believe that it is going to be achieved today. I don't believe that. Uh, but just in case if it does, not that I don't believe it. It is very much possible that 354.70 would be hit today itself. But if it does, I definitely will go short there. Looks like some sort of a top. It will form right there. And yesterday, RUT was another one that I was watching but did not take a trade. RUT was a clean winner yesterday. Was basing off of this number. It ran off of where is that number? 89. Oh, it came below that. All right, so I forgot what Russell ran off of. Watching this thing yesterday, but I forgot what I was watching. Anyways, this is okay. We discussed the market. Let me pull up. Let me change the windows here. Okay, so this is what the other thing that I'm watching. VIX. VIX made a turn for the worse, and it pushed down below its 50 actually. So yesterday we were looking for 2038 or something like that, and that was based on this line right here, the 50 on the weekly. So VIX hit that to a T and bounced yesterday, and today it broke that and came below that. So I'm expecting maybe an ephemeral bounce of some sort because it is hitting a Bollinger Band here. And after that, most likely, I think VIX will continue to die, at least for the bit. There's still a good bit of downside for VIX to go. But notice something here. On the weekly chart, it is starting to make those lower red bars. That means the selling is stopping, or selling is at least reducing here. So let's see how this plays out. And if it curls up and starts to push higher, or maybe a test of 2075, then probably a test of 2186. Yet, no VIX, VIX is elevated, but not looking for VIX to dent pretty, uh, anything hard hitting. I don't believe VIX is going to deliver any of that stuff. If it can come down to 1957, if it breaks below here, I think the next stop is here, 1959 or whatever this number is. So I think good bit of rally if VIX comes down in the markets is still intact. And if VIX comes down here, 1959 or something, I think it will bounce hard off of this number. When I say hard, maybe a point. That's no. If if it bounces here, then probably it will push into 21 and stop right about here. So this is what is my understanding from what I'm seeing in the charts. Besides that, I don't believe there is anything that is telling that VIX is getting irritated. Where is VIX? Yeah. So there's nothing that is telling that VIX is in any way, shape, or form irritated. It is just, if it bounces, it will be an ephemeral bounce just to satisfy the technicals. The technicals on the 5 and 15 kind of needs to get resolved, and then again a push to the downside. That is what I'm seeing for VIX right now. 2044, right now you can expect VIX to clear this number and hit 2044. That means a little bit of pullback at the open. 2056, and the mean on the 1 hour is sitting around here, 2138. Not really looking for that number to get tested at the open, most likely 2044 and push down from there. So yeah, and it wouldn't take a whole lot of persuading for VIX to come back down. It, uh, I mean, basically, there's nothing that VIX is mad about right now. It doesn't matter, the interest rate doesn't matter, the war, or doesn't matter the upcoming famine. None of that matters right now. It's pretty chill right now. So and another thing that I'll be watching throughout the day is the interest rates. They were supposed to come back down right here. It did 2.86, and it is again pushing up of this number here, bouncing off of this number. I believe it will come back and test this number again, 2.85, and the most likely scenario, it will break that and test this number, 2.8, and that should be the end of the. Uh, I mean that's the number that you would see for the last time for a good bit to come. 2.8 would be the last number. Uh, you would This would be the last time that you'd be seeing 2.8 for a good bit of time to come in the future, probably more than a year or so. Why? Because Fed would keep raising interest rates, and this thing would keep creeping higher. Yep. So this is pretty oversold here. So that is the reason you're seeing it as to come back down here, probably to here, and then push again. If I don't believe it's going to go test that 2.6. I simply don't believe that. So that means the technicals needs to pull up, and I believe that's what we're going to see. And the other number that I'm watching is, of course, stocks are stocks. You can make your watch list and whatnot. Not going to get into that, but I'm looking to play the bigger theme here. TLT, watching this thing closely. For some reason, this is bouncing simply because I think it is oversold, and I am still tracking this 200 for TLT. So let's see how this plays out. Oil on this TradingView charts, oil resumed. There were some issues. I don't know what were the issues, but oil resumed. The charts, rather, oil charts resumed. And I think oil, I'm not trading oil, but there's a good bit of chance that oil will temporarily come down. I want to see what Baker Hughes is doing. This will set the tone for a lot of what happened to Baker Hughes. Market. All right. So earnings, they came in negative? Wow. Why? All right. So I think this will play on the sentiment for energy stocks. So I think we could look for a push down. I think at least temporarily on other ones like XOM, CVX, and all the major ones. Look for a push down. I think this should not be happening for a company like Baker Hughes. This is a very well-run outfit. So I don't know. This is surprising. Negative numbers for both the EPS and the bottom line, the top line and the bottom line, both missed. Yeah, not good. So I think that should play on CBX. Nope, CBX is pushing up. Ah. I believe that this has to come down. It should hit somewhere around this number, 172.69 or whatnot. I think it should come back down and test this number. Let's see how that plays out. Besides that, Netflix, I will be looking to. I think I'll be watching this thing closely. I think there's at least uh, easy $10 to $15 to be made on Netflix. Easy 10 to 15. I will be watching Netflix. So I
The
think
upside or the downside, Darth?
to the upside.
Upside.
So
Really?
right now, yep, the bounce. Yep, the bounce. So right now, I think it is heading here. This is what we were discussing. Where is that? Heading here, right here. This is what we were discussing yesterday. 245, whatever this number is, right here. This is where it is heading, and I believe it will bounce somewhere around here, and there should be some sort of a short covering rally to push into this number again. And this story to the downside, I believe, will continue. Uh, Here it is making a solid base. So between 245 to 232, I think we should be able to find a good spot. And if you are someone who is passive, you can look for to sell puts down here, or you can also sell calls somewhere around in this area, around the 302 area, somewhere around this. So yeah, there's active trade to be had, there's passive trade to be had for Netflix. Netflix, let's see, right about here. 181. I think if it breaks here, and then I think 181 is still intact for Netflix to push down. And I don't know if I don't know. I know few people played this to the downside, and I do believe that this will get oversold pretty hard here. That means we could definitely look for a push up. Looking for an easy 10 to 15 bucks on that. And that's pretty much it from my end. We will see if I'm interested in playing Tesla. Tesla hasn't moved much. And one last thing, this Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is yesterday we were looking for a clean push here from this 100-day moving average. It made a base there and started to push higher, and now it is running into its 50. This is what was supposed to happen, and now it will clear this number and most likely push into 42, high 20 something. If you are somebody who traded all those Mara and Riot and whatever related names, you are doing pretty decent now. I think it will push into mean and 42.50. This is where I think we will look for this number and decide what we need to do next. I think there's still upside to a Bitcoin story. The tax the tax day is done. I think it was April 18th or something. So that is done. The indiscriminate selling should stop for crypto. And I think decent pickup should happen for crypto. Looking for a push into the mean on the weekly, 42.5. So this number is pretty achievable, and this number will act as some sort of a decent, what do you call, resistance. 42.5 will act as some sort of decent resistance here. But then after this resistance is done, I think BTC should push into 45, and most likely, I mean, this is how the path would go. 42.5, then 43.6, and then a push into 44.9 or 45. So let's see how that progresses. And right about now here, the MACD is about to cross. So once the MACD crossover takes place, I think position traders will start to enter this trade. So let's see how this progresses. Uh, all right, that's it from me. 3 minutes to the open. Good luck.